Hello! Well, if you've ever had problems losing belly fat or body fat in general, well, this is the video for you. It's not a very long video and I will encourage you to watch all of it because in this video, I'm going to give you the foundational principles that you need to lose belly fat once and for all. You're not only going to get the foundational principles, I'm going to also tell you the types of food to eat and why you should eat those foods. Because I always feel that if you understand why you're doing something, you're more likely to continue with that concept. This is basically Nutrition Science 101 in a simplified form. Well, that's what's coming up. See you in a couple of seconds.
Now for today's 2020 idea to better health, please welcome on stage Dr. Joe.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Joe of the drjoe.com. First time here, a warm welcome to you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, and also please not forget to click on the notification bell. So what you're going to get in this video, I'm going to give you the concept. I'm also going to give you the why behind the concept. You're also going to get the types of food to eat, and towards the end of the video, and this is why you need to actually watch the whole of this video. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to give you an interesting fact, very important, and also towards the end of the video, you're going to get the pictorial representation of what your plate should look like. Very important. So let's get started.
So what foods are we going to be eating to lose belly fat? Well, actually the solution is very simple if you know how. We want to base our eating plan on solid principles. This is the best way to actually lose belly fat without fail. And the fundamental principle here is that we are going to be choosing foods based on their energy density. The key phrase there is energy density. Once you know this, this is the bedrock of any weight loss, any fat loss program that actually works and works in the long term, which means we can eat more to actually lose weight. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it works. And once I explain to you as the video progresses, you're going to understand how this actually works. So we're going to be eating twice as much, but at the same time, we'll be taking in only half the calories or even less. So how is that possible?
You see, research has shown that people will eat roughly the same amount of food every day. And that works out to an average of about 3 to 5 pounds of food daily. Of course, it varies slightly from person to person, but that's about the average, 3 to 5 pounds. So we feel full when we eat a huge amount and we feel satisfied. And you know something else? Research has also shown that if you give people different types of food with different energy content, people are going to consume the same portion size. Because we need to eat to feel full, we need to eat to feel satisfied. So just for illustration purposes, I went out this morning and I got this cottage pie. I also got this pizza. Now, these two foods are energy dense foods. Now, if I gave you these two foods on two different occasions and no one was watching and you weren't self-conscious, you are going to eat the same portion size because you need to eat to feel full. So what that means is the amount of food we eat is a constant. Now, armed with that knowledge, is it possible for us to manipulate the situation to our own advantage? Of course it is. So here is what we can do. We can change the recipe for these two foods. We can change the recipe for this cottage pie. We can change the recipe for this pizza. So for instance, while preparing the pizza or the cottage pie, we stuffed it with something like, eggplant. We stuffed it with mushrooms. We stuffed it with something like kale. And I gave them back to you on two different occasions. You are still going to eat the same portion size. And guess what? Even though you are eating the same portion size, you are in actual fact consuming 70% less energy. Does this make sense to you? You are consuming 70% less calories. And that is why this eating plan actually works, because we allow the energy light ingredients to actually dominate the food we are preparing.
So to lose fat, we will be eating lots of calorie light foods. It's amazing that you can consume lots of these foods without actually gaining fat. In actual fact, you will be losing fat. How do we achieve this? Well, we're going to be exploiting this often ignored concept of net carb content. People always talk about the carb content of foods, but nobody actually talks about the net carb. And in actual fact, the net carb content is the most important index as far as weight management is concerned. So if you want to lose fat, you actually want to be concentrating on the net carb content of any particular food that you're eating. So what makes up the net carb? Well, if you strip away the fiber from the total amount of carbs in any particular food, what is left is net carbs. Now, I put this here. You're not going to be actually bringing out your calculator to work this out in every food you're consuming. The essential thing here is to let you understand how net carbs are actually calculated. But in the practical sense, it's a lot simpler than this. So what makes up the net carbs? Well, the starch content of that particular food as well as the sugar content, if you add them together, that is what constitutes the net carbs. So by consuming foods that are low in starch, that are low in sugar, you are automatically eating foods that are low in net carbs. That is how the principle works. So how do we reduce the net carb content of our food? Well, we do this by eating fiber-rich foods. And here is my slider. Here is my net carb slider that will explain this a little bit more.
So check out my fiber net carb slider here. The more fiber a food has, the less the available net carbs for your body to utilize. So more fiber, less net carbs, which is ideal. Less fiber, more net carbs, which is not ideal.
So just to illustrate my point further, we've got two carbohydrate foods here. They both have 100 grams of total carbohydrate content. But food A is loaded with fiber. It's got 95 grams of fiber, leaving it with a net carb content of 5 grams. Whilst food B also has fiber, but it's got 30 grams, leaving it with net carb content of 70 grams. Now, which of these two foods is going to suit our belly fat loss plan better? Of course, it's going to be food A because it's just got 5 grams of net carbs. Don't forget the net carb content is made up of starch as well as sugar. So we are going to go for food A when we are cutting. Food B we can introduce later on in limited amounts, but in the initial stages it's going to be food A because it's got lower net carb content. The main reason why fiber is very important in this eating plan is because fiber is, for the most part, is indigestible, and fiber actually provides bulk. When you have bulk, you feel full, you feel satisfied, and it suppresses ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. So this is one reason why this plan is very, very effective.
So what foods are we going to eat to meet our objective of eating plenty, feeling full, and still lose belly fat all at the same time?
Well, we're going to be eating foods from this group, calorie light foods. And the calorie light foods are usually fiber rich, like I explained earlier on. And what foods are these? Well, you guessed it, is vegetables. Vegetables will constitute the bulk of the food we're going to be eating. And here is an interesting fact for you. Vegetables have just 100 calories per pound. Some actually have less than 100 calories per pound. So can you now see how you can eat these beauties all day long and not have to worry about weight gain? If anything, you'll be eating lots of them and still losing belly fat. They are godsend. And secondly, our food consumption is going to be boosted by lean proteins. And this means you're going to be eating fish and white meat. Well, if you want to eat red meat, that's up to you. I don't usually eat red meat. I tend to concentrate on fish and white meat. And more importantly, I also concentrate on plant protein. So if you're vegan, you're going to be concentrating on plant protein. If you are omnivorous, then you're going to be eating fish, white meat, as well as plant proteins. So this eating plan takes care of everybody, including vegans and meat eaters. Thirdly, our eating plan is going to be made up of low-fat foods. Why is that? Well, it's actually because fat is energy dense. And remember, the principle behind our eating plan is that we want to be eating foods that are calorie light. We want to be eating foods that are energy light. So fat, being energy dense, we're going to reduce the amount of it that we consume. We're going to be concentrating on healthy fats, but not huge amounts of it. So overall, this is how the eating plan will work. We're going to be eating plenty of calorie light carbs. We're going to be eating good amounts of lean protein, and we're going to be consuming low amount of fat. So this is how your macronutrient distribution actually pans out. Here's how our plate will look like when we are cutting. We're going to get our protein from salmon there, or any other fish, or any other white meat. And then we're going to have lots of broccoli in the plate. We're going to have lots of spinach along with carrots. Vegetables will take up more than 50% of the plate. And then we're going to get our healthy fats from avocados there. Now, if you're vegan and you don't want to eat fish or white meat, then of course you can have any other plant protein. For instance, you got chickpeas there, and of course the plate is still going to be dominated with vegetables like the broccoli, the spinach, and the carrots, and then our healthy fats coming from avocado. So this is how the plate will actually look like.
Well, that was a beautiful plate of food, wasn't it? The thing is, you can actually enjoy your vegetables. You can have fun doing this. All you need to do is season your vegetables and you will enjoy them. I guarantee you that. And indeed, you will lose the belly fat. The beauty of this eating plan is that you can actually apply it to any type of dieting that you have in mind. It's quite flexible. Well, if you enjoyed this video, as usual, please give it a thumbs up, like the video. Please share this video with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Now, if you got any comments, any questions, leave them down below. I think that's about it. In the next video, I'm going to give you the A to Z of some of the foods that you actually need to eat. That's it. Until next time, well, this is Dr. Joe signing out.